Welcome, 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 everybody. We are back in house for another great episode, and this episode is going to be dedicated to mothers. It's our Mother's Day episode. Um, it's our Mother's Day episode, so we're going to talk about all things mom related.
Yeah. So happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, all the
Soon to
would-be
be moms.
Yep,
Soon to be moms. All of the grandmas, all of the mom figures, the mother figures,
Exactly.
everybody. The aunties who stepped in to be moms, everybody.
everybody.
So,
Without further ado,
yeah. So this episode, I think is it's a little touchy for us. We contemplated on do we get on camera and do we do something for Mother's Day? We want to honor our mothers. So just a little backstory if you haven't been following up, if you just happened to be looking at episode 10, I would advise to go back and listen to 1 through 9 as well. But if you happen to find us on just episode 10 across your feed, both of our mothers passed away in 2020. Unexpectedly, not due to any complications from COVID, and they passed away like within 10 weeks of each other. Her mom passed away June 26th. My mom passed away September 12th. So navigating life without your mom, especially when your mom was like your girl, like your mom was your go-to, your mom was your rock, it has been a little difficult. And one of the things that we have both found difficult is Mother's Day,
yes.
the actual day itself.
Yeah.
That's the day that I just,
We loathe it.
yeah, like that first Mother's Day without my mom, I wanted to pull the covers over my head and shut out the world. I didn't want to say Happy Mother's Day to people. I didn't want people to say Happy Mother's Day to me. But being a mother or celebrating Mother's Day while your mother is not here is probably one of the hardest things to do. You don't want to rob your children of celebrating you because you're mourning your mother on that day.
Right.
So you grin and you bear it. When you grin, you take it on the chin and you
Eat rocks.
yeah,
that
you bear it.
day,
Yeah,
just
like
kinda
we don't say Happy Mother's Day
No.
to each
don't
other.
utter those words.
Yeah, we don't say it to each other. We let the kids say everybody else. I'm like, thank you. But then at the end of the day, when you realize, like, you wait for this call to come that's never going to come, that you're never going to get again.
Right.
So you go through all the Happy Mother's Day, through the days, you do all of that. You do all that stuff, and you grin and you bear it for the sake of your kids because you're still here, and they want to celebrate you, and those are the memories that you want to create. And we know our mothers wouldn't want us to, to sit there and be like, oh, don't do this. Don't
Right.
act like that. Don't act like that.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, we kind of want to just start from the groundwork and talk about all things mothers. How have we grown as mothers? What are the things that our moms imparted in us that
Yeah.
we're carrying on into the rest of our lives?
Yeah.
Not just the sad parts. So we're gonna try to make it through this without being overly whatever, but
Overly,
without
I just don't want to wind up in the corner, curled up in a fetal position, crying. That's my goal right now.
right.
We don't. I don't know you. So to anybody who has lost a mother and you're a mom, or you're not a mom, if you just lost your mother, Mother's Day rolls around, it's painful for you as well, even if
Right.
you're not a mom, because you don't get to call your mom and be like, Happy Mother's Day. You know what I mean? So those of us who are fortunate enough to still have your mom, cherish them.
Kudos.
Love 'em.
Yes. Absolutely.
love on them, give them all the gifts, give them all the flowers, give them all the love.
Even if they get on your nerves,
yeah,
even if they're
yeah,
calling you 1,000 times a day,
yep,
trust me, you don't want to not
yep,
be having any of those calls.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, So what are some things that foundationally let you know that you had a good mom? Like what?
I think when I look at my kids, because of a lot of what she's instilled in me, I instilled in them.
Okay.
And it's hard to do that from generation to generation, but it's stuck with them.
Right.
And I see that they are good people innately, that they are compassionate, they're kind, they're genuine, they're not materialistic.
Yeah.
They really are good human beings. And my mom instilled that in us. Just be a good person.
Yeah.
You know, just have integrity. Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat. Like all of this stuff. My mom wasn't overly religious. Like it was funny, she spent all her life like in Catholic school and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But she wasn't overly religious. Like she would go to church. Like you would see my mom in church or someone, if there's a funeral there, a wedding there, something event at a church. But my mom was spiritual.
Right.
She felt things, she's heard things, she saw things, and she knew things.
Right.
And one thing that she had always told me was, trust your gut, trust your intuition. If you hear something that says, do this or don't do it, listen to it. Don't do people the way that they do you. Do them better. Sorry, because mommy, I match energy. Okay? You understand that?
She did not tell you that.
Yeah, she did not say that. Just you treat them better.
Right.
My mom was you don't have to take shit from anybody. You don't. I raised you not to. She would say, like, you saw me taking the most from your dad.
Right.
And it was a dysfunctional household. And she made sure that my mom was a seamstress by trade. So she made sure that I got the best education. Even if it meant that she went without. So that, and that she would tell me so that I didn't have to stay in a situation where I was financially dependent upon somebody, that I could make my own way.
Right.
And that stuck with me. And I just think my mom was she was hilarious. She was really hilarious. She was a good cook. She was a good baker.
Mamas be cooking stuff though.
They do, and they have
lots of
everything.
Mom, I mean, you'd be lucky if you get a mom
Man.
that can cook and get
Oh
down
yeah,
in the
yeah,
kitchen.
yeah.
There's not many big mamas left.
Yeah.
But
In this generation, but my mom was just, and I look back at her life, and I always feel like she deserved so much more. She deserved all of the happiness, all of the stuff, and I always felt like she poured into us so much and gave us so much, and she neglected herself. My mom had, I think, traveled. She had never been on an airplane. She's like, I'm not getting on an airplane. And that's where my fear of flying came in at that point. Yeah. She had never been on an airplane. And the one time she went on a cruise was with me, her, and my sister. And we said, I said, Mom, you want to go on a cruise? She was like, I'm not getting on that boat. She said, well, first of all, she said, I'm not taking a plane. I said, no, it's leaving from the port of New Jersey. Like, you don't have to get on the plane. I'm not getting on that boat because that's just too much water for me to swallow. Something happened. Cool. A couple days later, she called me. I thought about it. I'm gonna go on that trip. And she went on that trip. And that was I think the only trip that my mom had been on,
Right.
and it was a cruise to Bermuda. And my mother had such a ball on that trip. She was on that boat for the, didn't want to, from not wanting to get on to doing all the things. She was
Right.
out of the room.
She was in the conga line.
Yeah, she was out of the. She
Find
was.
out
Listen,
Joan was in the conga
she
line.
was out of the room before we got up, and we were like, "Where's mommy?" She's like, "Oh, I went up and I had the paper and I had my morning coffee on the deck. I met some
Okay.
people. Had a bite to eat. She was at the casino. She was doing all the things, and then when we docked in Bermuda and we went into places, and and I had to find those pictures there in a box someplace, and then we docked and we went to Bermuda. My mother was so happy. And that was one of the best memories that I have of my mom, that she actually, her first and like her only trip, like she would drive like to New Jersey, to Virginia and do stuff like that. But that was her first. That was her first and her only. And I'm so glad I got to experience that.
Yeah.
With her. Like, what's the best memory? I mean, you have a lot of memories of your mother, but what's one that sticks out?
I'm gonna have to say, my mother was the opposite. She traveled. She was always
was gone.
She was always at the stuff. Like, once we got out of high school, well, I got out of high school, and she was like, "Yeah, okay, bye. I'm living my life like it's golden." And she was at all the stuff.
It's food in the fridge.
All the stuff. Like, I would have to check with her. What are you doing this weekend, Ma? Can you babysit your granddaughter? Because I know your schedule is hectic. But so she was always gone. So that that was something that she did. She said that she wanted me to travel more. So I'm trying to live that.
Yeah.
But one of the best memories, they're all amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just had one flash in my head. When I was in grammar school, my mother would come and pick me up from school. So one day she came and picked me up, and she had a grasshopper in a baby food jar that she caught. I get my love of nature from her. She had caught the grasshopper in the grass. She found a jar, put the grasshopper in the jar, and she brought it to school so that we could look at it in the class. Like, and at the time I was like, "Oh wow, that's really cool."
Yeah.
But I didn't. Not that I didn't appreciate it, but that's something that she would have done.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a,
Yeah.
that was just a natural thing for her. Like, she loved nature and animals. But I thought it was cool that my mom was outside in the grass
And
trying to get a grasshopper.
And she thought it enough to do it and to bring it so that you all to experience.
And we
and
did.
To, yeah.
Oh, Miss, thank you for bringing that in, blah, blah, blah. That was one of the things. I have to say, the second thing happened just before she passed away. We went to see The Lion King. She had wanted to see The Lion King, and she was like, "I want to see The Lion King. I want to see Lion King." I was like, okay. I remember I took the train to New York and went and got tickets for me, my mother, my daughter, and her godmother.
Okay.
So the four of us went to see The Lion King. And it was a great show. It was a great time. I liked that experience because it was one of the last things that we did. And also, the world shut down. We went to see The Lion King in November, and then COVID happened
Like
in March, April.
Yeah, March, yeah.
So it was one of the last things we did before it shut down, and she decided she didn't want to be here no more. But
yeah, she was like, I'm out of here.
But so I'm gonna have to say that and The Lion King and everything in between. So and you were saying about the things that let you know that you had a good mom. I feel like my mom she always told me, always do what's right.
Yeah.
Like, even when people aren't looking, always do what's right. And I try to do that. Like, I try to be that person that's doing the right thing. And maybe, like, not over the top with it, but I try to do the right thing because...
And you do. and do.
right. So I try to do the
And
right
do.
thing and by people. And
Yeah.
she was so kind. She had so
Yeah.
many friends. She made friends everywhere she went. And she would give you the shirt
Off
off her
her
back.
back.
She was always
Yep.
doing something for her friends. And I remember being like, why do you have to go over so and so's house? Or why do you have to
Yeah.
stop what you're doing and give so and so a ride? That's who she was.
Yes,
And I
yeah.
find myself
Doing
doing the
the exact same thing
thing,
and being
that
compassionate
person.
and being
Right.
caring to everybody.
Right. Because I saw that
Yep.
and thinking that it was something that was a hindrance or a detriment back
was a
then, but
blessing.
not knowing or appreciating. And now
Yeah.
I see
That it's a
myself,
blessing
right.
to have a friend
Right.
like that,
Right.
to have a person like that in
to
your
be
life.
a person like that.
Yes, and not only just on the friendship side of it, but to have a mother
Yes.
like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
To see that as an example,
Exactly.
to have a mother like that. One thing I distinctly remember about your mom, anytime there was an event, she was there with that camera.
Oh my gosh.
She was
pictures.
taking pictures upon pictures. Some of them was blurry, but it's all right.
blurry.
It
A
didn't matter. But you know what?
99 pictures
if
blurry.
you squint,
Right.
you saw what it was.
Right.
But you like, oh, that's a good picture,
She
Michelle.
took
That's a good
pictures.
picture.
She took pictures of
All the
everything.
time.
Everything.
And I just remember one of the memories I had with your mom was one of your last birthday parties that you had at the house when Tamika made the cake. I think
Right,
that
right.
one we was back there.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. That was a good cake too. And your mom was just click, 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 all it, and the tent was blowing. And she didn't care. It was just, your mother was just so happy.
Right. She
For you.
loved to see
Yeah.
me do things.
Yeah, she
if
was
that
just,
makes sense.
and you can tell she was just so
Proud.
innately happy
Right.
and proud and beaming and just taking pictures and smiling and talking. And I was like, wow. You know,
She loved to see me do
wow.
stuff. Like, I had a tent for my birthday out in the backyard, and I was outside at midnight
I remember.
constructing this tent.
And it was
that
blowing
was
off
like-
there. That was,
and
you
it
was like,
blew
forget
away.
it. You was like, you know what? Just forget
It blew away.
it.
But I was outside constructing that tent, and she just stood at the door and was like, I mean, and she was,
Yeah.
it wasn't disapproval, but she was amazed
That you had
I
determination.
made this person
Yeah.
that's outside
Yeah.
building a tent
At midnight.
by herself.
At midnight.
Right. So
At midnight.
she loved all the
Yeah.
things about me, and I loved all the things about her.
Yeah.
So, what are the things that you said that you kind of are transferring those things to your daughter or to your kids,
Yeah.
rather, right? I think that I try to, show my daughter those things too, so that she can be a good person. I think
Yeah.
she is. I
She
think our
is.
kids,
She's the
Our kids
sweetest.
are good.
They
people.
are the sweetest kid, and I'm really not just saying that because they're my
Our
kids.
kids.
Yeah, or, your daughter, and because I know her. You really are. They really are genuinely the sweetest kids, and I feel like sometimes they got like old souls.
They do.
They
They
really
absolutely
they
have old
really
souls.
yeah they really do have these old souls.
My
and
kid
they're-
asked for a portable CD player for Christmas.
Yeah, definitely an old,
What's
definitely an
happening?
old soul, and I think it has a lot to do with them having access also to the grandmothers, and being that and them those formative years of their
Yeah.
lives, and I'm so thankful.
Oh man.
I'm so thankful that my mom was here to help raise them, potty train them, because I was like, I don't know what's going on here, and I don't worry about that. Like, she potty trained them with Hershey Kisses. Like, there was a reward system. Listen, it worked.
Right.
All three of those kids
Right.
were potty trained based on a Hershey Kiss reward system. It
So
worked.
what are some things that you some adult things, like aside from the child rearing and like being nice, what are some like adult things that you've learned or that you carried on from your mom?
Oh man, my mom was just like I told you with the credit. My mom was, you make a bill, you pay it. Like, you have to keep good credit. That was like her thing. My mom was so simplistic. Like, she wasn't materialistic. She was the hardest person to shop for. ever. Because she didn't like certain types of clothes. She
Right.
didn't want certain types of bags. She was just the hardest person to shop for. And it's like, you know what, Ma, I'll take you shopping. You tell me what you want. You just pick it up and I'll buy it.
Right.
You know, or you want money? I'll just get you. Yeah, I'll just give you the money. So
Right.
you just go get it. An adult, my mom just told me. She taught me everything.
Yeah.
Everything, from taking care of myself to, understanding the household financially. Running, my mom was the backbone of running that household. My dad just handed over the money. My mom was like, okay, here's your allowance for the week. I'll take the rest of this, and then we're gonna run this household.
You think that helped you be the person that you
Oh,
are?
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm hyper independent, I think,
Okay.
because of my mom and because of seeing how I grew up. You know, I just really wish. You never know, and everybody says this when you lose people, like you wish you had more time because you never really know.
Right.
But I am so glad that the day that it happened, she called me, and we had a talk for like 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And it was just in the way things happen, scheduled a lift, and I need to go to they take your dad to the eye doctor. They canceled. Can you change the time? And in a blink of an eye, it was like 9 o'clock. I spoke to her till like 9:30 or so. Then I remember trying to call at like 10:22, and 10 she didn't answer. 10:23 she didn't answer. And I'm calling different. Then I said, nah, like something happened. Then I said, no, get that out your head. Like I was literally
Right.
in the aisle of Walmart. Called her. What, she told me to get something. Damn, what did she tell me to pick up for her in the baking aisle? She didn't answer, and I got this wave of something's wrong, and I pushed it out of my head. And about 30 minutes later, I called back. Called the cell phone, no answer. Then I called the home phone. Like whatever I did the first, I did a reverse
Right.
before. My dad picks up. I say, where's mommy? She's dead. So my dad has no tact. Let's talk about that first of all.
I did not mean to laugh.
I'm just saying, like, I think we have a dark humor, but my dad lacks tact. When I tell you, he just has a thought and it comes out. And I'm thinking back, but he's blind in one eye. He had just had surgery. He doesn't know. He can't see anything, but
Right.
and I'm like, what do you mean? And I think to this day that kind of haunts me, because what if I kept calling at 10:22? What if I kept calling? And then could I got help there? Instead of pushing it out my mind. So that 30 minutes or so that passed, I think about that.
Yeah.
But again, we know what happens, and things happen, and for a reason, and how the
The way they're
timing and
supposed to
everything's
happen,
supposed to
right.
happen. But I'm so grateful.
Yeah. How do you think that losing your mom has changed you and changed how you look at the world?
I don't take, it's gonna sound cliche, I don't take life for granted. I had my mom, I was 47 when she passed, going on 48. She's September 12th, and I was about to turn 48, like literally a couple weeks later. That first birthday, you know what I'm saying, like without my mom, like waiting for that. Oh, somebody getting old. Because all my other siblings got it because of when their birthdays fell. My
Right.
brother's birthday literally was September 6th.
Oh, okay.
He was the last one who got it.
Right.
Dory's, she's March. Mark is in July. Then AC's in September 6th, and then mine comes. So they all got that call, you know, from my mom, like happy birthday, blah. And it was like my brother, love him to death, heart was in the right place. That day, he forwarded me his voicemail
Right.
that said, he goes, now you get a happy birthday wish too. And
You
I'm
were
thinking
like,
and looking at a
"Man."
voice message. I'm like, oh, hit play, say less. It's my mom's voice.
Yeah. You fell apart.
I crumbled.
You lost it. Yeah.
I sobbed so hard,
Right.
like that.
The shoulder
yeah, the
shaking.
shoulder shrug, like so hard. And I'm like, why would he do that? But his heart was, I know you didn't get this message.
Right.
And then the message was, oh, you getting old. It was a very,
Generic.
she didn't say his name. It was
Right.
just like, so it could have went
Right.
either way for me too. Like, call me back. And I was just like, I lost it. I owe so much to my mom. Like
Right.
as you, like I know you owe, everything to your mom. Like she was the backbone.
Yeah.
Everything that you events is very similar. Like my dad wasn't there. My mom was always front and
Yeah.
center. Involved in school plays, spelling bees, like all of this stuff. It was my mom, and my
Right.
mom was my mom was my backbone, and it's like
Cheerleader, your everything.
she clapped the loud. I never noticed who wasn't clapping for me
Right.
because she clapped so loud for me
Right.
that I never missed
Right.
other people not clapping for me.
Right. But those are the kinds of things
So,
that kids need.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
showing up and all of that. And although it is sad, like, yeah, I'm holding it together because we both can't be all apart. But,
Nah.
losing my mother has changed me in kind of that similar way that I don't take life for granted.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like I'm not going to let things bother me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I can see that.
in my mind, I've already dealt with one of the worst possible things I could ever have to go through.
Facts.
So anything else that happens to me,
You can deal
piece
with
of
it.
cake.
You
Piece
can
of
deal with
cake.
it. You can deal with it.
So I think that's kind of how it has changed me. And again, I'm cherishing everything. I'm appreciating who I am
Yeah.
as a person. Those things are, kind of making me into a full-grown adult. I'm
Yeah.
a woman now. I've been a woman, but you never realize how.
Did you really feel like when your mom passed, you said you're a real you're an adult. You had you had kids, you had a
Right.
child, I had
Right.
kids. Like we was paying bills, we had our place, like we was doing all the things.
Right.
But when my mom passed, as you said, like I really felt like an adult. Like
Yeah.
I didn't, because who was I gonna call
Yeah.
to
There's a
double
shift.
check if something was right? Hey, Mom, I got
Right.
this happening. Do you think I handled this right? Of course you did. I had nobody to double check.
Right.
My safety net
Yeah.
was gone. So what do you do when your safety net is just automatically just all of a sudden snatched from underneath you?
You got to start sewing your own net and
Yeah.
be an
like,
adult and
you feel like
make your own net.
what
now.
happens? You make sure you don't fall.
That's true.
You make sure.
Learn
And
how
I
to
think-
fly, one or the other.
Yeah, and I think with us, the commonality of what happened and the way that it happened and how did it happen and the timing, we became that safety net.
Yeah.
Like I can say without a doubt, like if I'm up there flipping in the air and doing all the somersaults and all the things, I don't have to worry about shit because I know at some point you like this and you about to kick that net over that trampoline and be like, yeah, I'm not about to let you fall.
Right.
You're gonna kick it over. And the same for you.
Right.
You can be out there doing all the things off the little what is that? The trampoline, the trapezoid, what is
I
that
don't know
thing?
what it's
That little swing thing.
trapeze.
Yeah, the trapeze. You could be doing all the things.
Right.
And I'm gonna sit there. I'm like, Not today. You know what I mean?
Right.
Having that safety net and having that, not having that is what I think is what gets me. You know, and I think my personality and your personality were very similar when our moms passed. And we have if we say things, we're laughing at something, we have a kind of sometimes a dark sense of,
Yeah, we do.
very dark sense of humor. Sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying.
And that's my mama. If I want to
Yeah.
laugh about it, I can do that.
Yeah, that's true. So we, I don't want to say I've never fully processed it, but I feel like I've never fully
You've
processed
never fully
it.
processed it.
Like, and I
You
don't
haven't.
know if I've not allowed myself to process it,
You haven't.
because you got to understand, right after my mom passed, I'm taking care of my dad. Then literally almost
Yeah.
like a year later, my dad got cancer. So I had no time
Right.
to grieve. Like I went from two parents to one parent.
Right.
And I sat there and I rationalized. I said, Lord,
What are you doing?
you understand you took the wrong parent. Like, I'm trying not to question you, but you know,
Is that liquor in here?
you took, and listen, grief is a thing. I'm like, you know, you took the wrong parent. You took the favorite. Like, check your book, because something happened. You called her home way too soon.
I am not your strongest soldier.
Yeah, you called her home way too soon,
Right.
Jesus. You know, and then I'm left with my dad, who my mom ran everything, so my dad had nothing. So I'm literally running two households. I had no
Right.
time to grieve.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember coming in and like having to tell the kids, and they're looking at me and I'm looking at them, and they just like bust out crying, and I walked off. I literally walked off and left them in the
You were like, well,
yeah, like I can't.
figure it out.
I literally left them in the living room, and I walked into my bedroom, and I was numb.
Yeah, because you called me and was like, my mother died. I was like, huh?
Yeah,
What are you talking? And then you hung up the phone. I was like, hello?
I-
Hello?
because coming off of having your mom
Right.
pass
That's why I was like,
10 weeks prior,
huh?
I'm thinking
Yeah.
something's up.
Something's up. It's a conspiracy going on.
Something's happening.
Is it conspiracy?
Yeah.
They taking moms? What's going
Yeah,
on?
like they're taking the wrong mothers. You're taking the wrong people.
Wow.
Like, you definitely taking the wrong people, because you got a bunch of assholes out here that still are walking around. You're taking the wrong people.
I cannot.
So,
I can't.
and I said that to you, and you were like, and the next thing I knew, you were at the house, like you came over.
Of course.
Like, you called Mel. You called Mel because Melanie was closer.
Yeah.
Mel came over. She popped around to the house because she was literally right
Around the
5 minutes
corner.
right around the corner. She popped over to the house. And then you came. And I was numb. But when I went home and I told the kids, I couldn't even comfort them, because I'm like, I got nothing. Like, I got nothing to give you. Like, yeah, I'm still processing this, so
Yeah.
hold on, I'll be back. And they
Right.
were in there crying. I was just like,
So how do you think you're going to be able to, do you think you ever be able to get through the processing? You know,
I don't know. That's what scares me.
you have
What
to
if that
allow
shit
yourself.
hits me one day,
It's going to.
like 10 years from now?
It's going to.
And people are like, well, when did your mom pass? 2020. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, it's gonna hit you.
You know what I'm
because
saying?
You're
It's
not,
2035.
As the old folks say, you're not letting it touch you.
Yeah, it's
So,
2035. Why
yeah.
are you just now breaking down? Because I don't know.
There's
But
no time limit on
but
it.
then again, I might be that person where, because I process things differently
Uh-huh.
and I process them fast, it's, you know what I mean? I just processed it. You have people who just
Did you
completely
process
fall
it, or
apart.
did you compartmentalize
No,
it?
I think I processed it. My mother's gone. I know what I got to do. I got to take care of this household and my household. I got to do double duty. That's what I'm supposed to do.
So how what are some things that we can give our viewers who are maybe going through the same thing? Like, what tips, just give them two, of how to navigate through this time of year?
Man.
Because it's terrible. One, my two is one, stay out of that Hallmark section for the
Oh,
cards. Like every time
yeah,
I gotta go and I go down the aisle, I make a
shit
beeline.
is
Stay
the
out of that.
worst.
And two, I think that you have to like settle in your grief.
Yeah.
You have to let it wash over you.
Yeah.
So I think that's all a process.
Yeah.
There's no time limit on it.
It's
like
none.
I tell friends of mine have lost parents after me, and I tell them, if it were reversed and we had preceded our parents,
Oh,
they would be grieving for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yeah.
taking a year, 2 years, 5 years, it's nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah.
It's yours to carry around. So,
Yeah.
you know, what are your give us two so we can, you know, let the people get through this day.
Yeah, I just cry if you need to.
I like that.
Like, it doesn't, if you feel it, if you just cry, just go ahead, let it out. And understand that, give yourself grace. Don't be too hard on yourself, and understand, give yourself grace, understand that grief is a journey and is yours. You can't compare it to someone else who's going through a similar situation. Your grief is yours. And I heard this quote that says, grief is love with no place to go.
Absolutely.
And that has forever stuck with me. But I will never,
Yeah, it's not something that you're ever gonna get over. So
No,
and you're not supposed to.
Yeah,
but you
some
have
days
to
are
learn
harder
how to
than
shift
others.
the weight.
Yeah.
I think that you learn how to.
Yeah.
You don't carry it all right here. Maybe you put it on your bag. Maybe you put
And
it
some
in
days
a
we
backpack.
carry each other's. Like, we
Right,
help to
that's
lessen that load.
That's true.
So I can honestly say that, I think the timing of it, of how it happened, and, knowing you and you knowing me, that we helped each other get through that, because I wouldn't have been able
Yeah.
to navigate that
Right.
without you. So I really appreciate that. I really love and appreciate you for that. And, Mother's Day is hard, especially, you've lost a mother. But there's just days, man, when
Yeah.
I sit there, I'll just be like,
But know that you'll get through it. I think that's
Yeah.
the most important part. That
Yeah.
you'll get through it. This is our fourth, fifth.
2020. So we had just did a Mother's Day, because we had just did Mother's Day in 2020, June and then September. So
Okay.
this is 2021, 22, 23, 24, 2025 would be
Our
the
fifth.
fifth, the
Our
fifth year.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, without
So-
them. But, some days, man,
They're always with us though.
they are. I'm
They
thinking,
are.
and that was another thing. I think that's a whole other realm of touch
Yeah, that's
upon, because
another-
we
that's
can
another story.
feel their presence and
Right.
and things that have happened. But, it's just some days where I really look at, and I just be like, yo, I just want my mommy.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
true.
want my mommy. But
So let us know how you guys are
Yeah.
dealing with grief. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it's Mother's Day.
It's Mother's
but
Day.
A loss is a loss.
Yeah.
So how do you think that we can help others deal with grief, deal with loss, recover from that, move on, all those things, all the things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Give us a great memory of a
Oh,
mom
yeah,
that's still
please,
here.
yeah, please
or
stop it.
that's
Please.
that's passed
I
on.
would love to read the
Please,
comments
yes.
about your mom. Please tell
Let
us
us
if
know.
you've lost your mom. Just put
Give your
down
mom
in
a
there.
shout out.
Yeah, like, put down in the comments, your favorite memory of your mom, what she's helped you, like how you've got to where you are with your mom. Just put something down, or put a pink heart, anything.
Yeah.
Honoring
Honoring moms.
Yeah, yeah, for your mom, and just
Yeah.
so anybody else going through this and trying to get through Mother's Day, as we call it, the day, may the Lord open.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
may the Lord open.
May the Lord open.
Right.
Like, as we get through this, and it's a journey,
Yeah.
and it's definitely, there is a community of people, and if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, there are people out there. You got family, friends. therapist. I did go to grief counseling at one point. But, you know, there are people, and know that you're not alone in it. And that's it. So I won't
With
say
that,
I
we
won't say
won't-
the I won't say the words, but it's implied.
Yeah.
You know, it's implied. No, you know what? Happy
Yes,
Mother's Day.
happy
I will
Mother's Day.
say it.
Happy Mother's Day. Yes.
And, you know, I hope you have a great Mother's Day. And with that, you know how we end the show.
Yep.
Life is not about the destination.
It's about the journey.
And no matter where you are,
It's exactly where you're supposed to be.
and here we are. Until the next episode, don't forget to like,
Subscribe
comment.
and share.
Yep, and share. So we appreciate you.
Yes, we
See you next
appreciate
episode.
Bye.